I was 22 years old. It was Halloween night at my best friend Nick's house. Nick's parents flew to New York every year for Halloween, same friends, same party, every single year, so Nick had the house to himself, and he made the absolute most of it. The guy lived for Halloween. Spent more money on props than any of us were comfortable admitting. He'd even built these massive cardboard walls covered in wallpaper to turn his downstairs into a haunted maze. It was genuinely impressive. I'll skip over the details of what we were doing upstairs in his room that night. This is a Halloween story, not a confession. What I'll say is that me, Nick, Vinny G, Joey, and Q were all up there together, none of us anywhere close to sober, when we heard it. Two loud bangs from downstairs. Steady. Deliberate. Nick scrambled for the door. He cracked it open, and whatever he saw in that hallway, whatever he heard, he slammed it shut and locked it behind him. He turned around and his face looked like a man who had just watched someone die. "Hide." That's all he said. Just, hide. We didn't ask questions. We all understood immediately. Nick killed the lights. He and Joey went into the closet. I crawled under the bed with Q. Vinny G folded himself into the storage box in the corner. From downstairs, the music cut off. Then a man's voice, deep, aggressive, screaming at everyone to shut up. A girl shrieked. Another bang. Then silence. More voices now. At least 3 of them. Heavy boots on the staircase. Coming up slow. Then stopping right outside Nick's door. The knob rattled. Locked. A pause. Then the shoulder hit started, ramming into the door over and over. When that didn't work, the gunshots did. The lock blew out and the door swung open. I watched through the hanging cloth of Nick's bed frame as a pair of black boots with ripped denim above them walked straight to the closet. He opened it. I heard Nick begging. Offering money. Giving himself up as the homeowner. The man ordered him downstairs. Joey, somehow, wasn't found. The rest of us stayed frozen under the bed and inside that storage box, shaking in complete silence. We could hear voices downstairs, Nick talking to them, but couldn't make out a word. It felt like 20 minutes before the front door finally slammed. Nick came running back up. They're gone. When I walked back downstairs into that living room, nothing could have prepared me for what I saw. 2 of my friends, Jen and Robbie, on the floor. I'll leave it there. The police were more interested in finding 4 masked men than in the smell of marijuana coming from every corner of that house. Nick later told us the men wore fedoras, vendetta masks, long coats, and gloves. They demanded $100,000 cash. When Nick couldn't produce it, they made him fill a bag with valuables. Every person at that party was forced to throw their wallet in. After that night, Nick fell apart. He stopped coming to school. Started drinking heavily. Dropped out. Then came the harder stuff. I had one real conversation with him after everything happened. He had tears running down his face and a pipe in his hand, and he told me he lived in constant pain knowing he was responsible for what happened to Jen and Robbie. Nick died of a heroin overdose in July of 2013. Less than a year after that Halloween. It was my first Halloween in my own place, a small corner house, no upstairs, just a basement. My parents had helped with half the mortgage. I was sitting in the living room watching horror movies at around 11 at night when someone knocked at the front door. I didn't get up right away. 11 o'clock on Halloween, who's knocking? No trick-or-treaters at that hour. I figured it was some kid ding-dong ditching. I waited a beat and checked the window. Nobody there. Classic. I sat back down. Then it happened again. "Get lost," I shouted. They started pounding. I was annoyed enough that I actually swung the door open, nobody. I went outside, checked the bushes, behind my car, across the street. Nothing. I went back inside, double-locked the front door, and locked my bedroom door too. Just to feel safer, I told myself. Even over the TV, I could hear the pounding continuing at the front door. Went on for over half an hour. I thought about calling the police but convinced myself it was just some kids making YouTube content or something stupid. Eventually I dozed off with the TV on. I woke up to the knocking again. Checked the clock. 2 in the morning. I sat up in bed and listened. My heart stopped. The knocking wasn't coming from the front door. It was coming from my bedroom door. Someone was already inside the house. I looked around my room desperately for something, anything. Then an idea hit me. Long shot, but it was all I had. I turned on my speaker system, grabbed my phone, pulled up YouTube, and typed in 45 gunshot sound effect. I cranked the volume and pressed play. The shot rang out through the room. I paused it and yelled, that was a warning. Leave now or I won't hesitate. It worked. I heard 2 sets of footsteps across the wood floor and then the front door. Gone. I waited. Then opened the bedroom door and checked. Front door was wide open. I shut it, called the police, and that was the end of my story. I've never once taken for granted that it ended there. I should say up front, I was never really big on Halloween growing up. Didn't have many friends, and once you're past 10 you can't exactly walk around with your mom without feeling like a complete loser. So most Halloweens just kind of passed me by. That year I was 14. My little sister is 8, so my mom took her out trick-or-treating while I stayed home to hand out candy. Honestly, I was relieved to have something to do. My mom left around 6 and said she'd be back by 9. I was on the couch watching the Scary Movie marathon on AMC, answering the door every now and then for the little kids in costumes, when the kitchen phone rang. Startled me more than I expected, the ringer was set way too loud. I picked up and got nothing. Some fumbling sounds, background noise. I said hello 5 times before they hung up. Halloween prank call. I ignored it. It rang again. Same unknown number. This time there was breathing on the other end. Faint, but there. Alright Steve, I know it's you. They hung up. I wasn't scared exactly. More uneasy. The kind of uneasy where you keep checking over your shoulder without really meaning to. The third call came later. It was dark out by now. The doorbell had gone quiet. I was watching the original Friday the 13th when the phone rang again, and honestly the sound of it had started to make me feel sick. I picked up anyway. Silence. Breathing. It went on for almost 30 seconds before a low, exaggerated voice said, "I'll be paying you a visit tonight." I told them to go to hell and hung up. Didn't touch the phone again after that. About half an hour later, every light in the house went out at once. TV off. Complete darkness. Then loud, furious pounding at the front door. I screamed. Genuinely screamed. Then I heard laughter. Familiar laughter. I opened the door and there was Steven standing on the porch trying to hold it together. I shoved him nearly down the steps. "That was you with the phone calls?" He nodded, still laughing. I told him to do the voice again. He looked confused. "What voice?" "I just did the breathing thing, I didn't say anything." My stomach dropped. I took him outside to the fuse box. It had been pried open. Every wire inside had been snipped clean. We ran back inside faster than I've ever moved in my life. I called my mom. She called the police. They traced the third call to a payphone outside a bar nearby. I still think about it sometimes. Was it just some Halloween prank that got out of hand? Or was someone actually planning to come inside that house that night? I genuinely don't know. And some part of me is glad I don't.